So hello everyone. Today is wiring day on the Malibu. I'm doing the LS swap on my 81 Malibu. That was my first car. Today I'm going to progress the wiring. It's a disaster. The LS stuff is pretty straightforward, but the car itself is kind of a mess. I got a battery for it. I bought some battery cable, some 1/0 battery cable. I'm going to make the correct ends and everything for it. I bought some ground cable. I bought some number 4 wire for the alternator. I bought a battery. I've got to make a battery box. I don't have one. I know I can buy one, but I can also make one. So I'm going to make a battery box for it, mount that, and start on the wiring. I'm progressing towards getting it running so that it can move under its own power, and I can take it to get exhaust put on it. So I'll check in with you guys after I get some work done. So I've got some wiring going on. I've had to figure out what is what and what I need and what I don't need and all this good stuff. Fortunately, I was able to reach out to a couple of friends that have Malibu stuff, and I was able to get some answers on what some of this crap is. So I got this, the battery sitting there. Obviously, I haven't built my battery box yet. I'm going to build it. My fan wiring is gone this far. I'm going to redo this deal here with these fusible links and stuff. I've got a terminal block that I'm going to use. I'm going to feed a bigger wire to the alternator. I've got a number 4 wire I'm going to use. But what I'm going to do right now is I need a spot to ground the chassis. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to make a lug that I can weld onto the frame that I'm going to put like around here somewhere, like a little pad that has a ground spot for my fan grounds and whatever other little grounds I need, as well as the main ground that I can run from here to there with this gigantic piece of 1/0. I'll make an end that goes down here and sits there. And then the other side, the way I'll ground the engine is it's got this convenient spot that says, hey, ground. So I'll probably do with this 1 gauge wire, I'll do a lug there that goes down and goes to the frame. So that way the battery will be grounded to the chassis and the engine will be grounded to the chassis. And then it's just a matter of this spaghetti. It's not as bad as it looks, but it's certainly not great. So I will get onto that. So what I'm going to do, don't mind the mess. There's my, got some positive 1/0 that I'm going to use. And then I've got some number 4 wire that I'm going to use for the alternator. I'm going to feed it with a good feed because it is on the opposite side. I think on the opposite side of where it should be, or where it was when it was a small block. So I'm going to make a little pad. I'm going to recess this bolt and that bolt into the pad, and then weld that pad to the frame. And these will be my grounding points. I think that's a good idea. Obviously, I'll run the 1/0 to this, and then this will pick up, whatever other accessories I need, like my fans and stuff. So I'll start on that. Probably just do it at I don't know, I've probably got some crap kicking around. This looks like something. Yeah, that's a 1/4 inch plate. I will use something like that. I'll make a little pad. I'll drill this, sink this in it, weld this around. This one I'll probably just weld a socket weld around the outside. And that'll be my grounding thing. So I might as well do that. That'll only take a few minutes, and I'll show you guys how it turns out. Okay, just to show what I'm doing, I've got that 1 bolt sitting there. You can see it's, I'm just kind of holding it there right now. So I'm going to weld that on the back side. I'm going to do the same thing with that 1/4 bolt, and then I'll grind this back flush and clean and flat, so that way when I weld it to the frame of the car, it'll be clean and flat and ground down too, and I'll have good continuity and good connection. But I thought I'd show you kind of what I got going on here. Just a quick look. I'll weld this all up and then I'll clean it up around the edges, and then I will show you what I've got. Alright, so here's my contraption. I gotta file that down a little bit, but you can see the back is all ground flat. Those 2 bolts are welded in. They are now a part of this plate. I just gotta grind, well, I'm gonna probably file down those welds a little bit more on the top side, and I'm going to clean up the spot on the car where it's gonna go, and then I'm gonna weld it in place. So there's my grounding pad welded and installed. I'll touch that up with paint. Obviously I won't paint the studs because that's where the grounding's gonna be, but it's all part of the car now, so I will paint that up and you'll never even know it was there. I've also started to, I measured my battery out, and I started to lay out a box. I'm going to build a box, just a simple, the battery's 7x9, so I gave it a bit of clearance. I'm going to go with like about 1.25 inch lip up, probably 1 inch by the time I get the bend in there, because it is 16 gauge and it's not going to bend real sharp. Just simple, nip the corners out, bend it up, weld it. Then I'm going to put a few drain holes in it in the bottom, probably one big one in the center. And then figure out how to mount it once I've mounted it to the inner fender, and then I've got a place home for my battery. I'll have to make a hold down that goes up and over, but other than that, it should be pretty good. So I know it's not that exciting, but here's a box. It's a battery box. Imagine that. Just bent it up with the brake, welded the corners, buffed them off, drilled a couple of drain holes, drilled a couple of mounting holes, and a couple of holes for some generic J hooks that I'll get from Canadian Tire or some automotive store or something. Yeah, so I'm going to paint it up, and that's another part of it. Leave me to be trying to do a video on wiring this car and get into fabrication, but it's all going to be done. So I'm going to paint this up and touch up the paint on that ground spot and then carry on with wiring. Welcome to my nightmare. So I'm wiring, and lots of it. Soldering, heat shrinking, doing all the proper things. So I've got my fan wiring all finished. You can see it's all loomed and goes all the way around and comes out here somewhere to this relay box. Got my grounds done. I will connect them to my new grounding spot. I'm cleaning up the factory harness because this bird's nest of crap isn't really necessary now with the alternator being the way it is. It's like a 1-wire alternator kind of thing. So the car wants power to these two. Fusible link still in place. The car wants power to that. This is the one I've got to extend it. It goes down to the starter solenoid. As I said, I'm soldering and heat shrinking. So I've got a junction block that I think I'm going to mount on my battery box once the battery box is done drying. It's like a terminal block. I'm going to mount that on there. I'm going to feed this from the battery to here. Then go out from here to the alternator with the number 4 wire. And then I can tap off all these other ones for, I need 2 for my fuse box for my LS harness. And then I need at least 1 or 2 for my for the car harness. So ideally I would have like a 6 block, but I don't have that, so I'm going to make do with this for now, and if I have to change it later, I'll change it. I picked up this little tool yesterday. You put your you strip your cable. I'm trying to show you one-handed. You strip your cable, you stick your lug in there, and then you give this guy a whack, not with my body hammer, with an actual hammer, and it crimps the lug. So that's kind of slick. I've seen guys drill holes in the front of these and fill them with solder as well. I might do that. It's not a bad idea. Throw it in the vise and just pop a hole in it and fill it with solder. And then I'm going to run the number 4 wire. So my battery box is drying. I'll run the number 4 wire from the terminal box. That's going to be a terminal block that's going to be over there, and it's going to come along with these in a loom, and then it will come over and go to this terminal on the alternator. So then I just have to figure out where this brown wire, I'm assuming, is the ground for it. I'm going to have to figure that out, make sure that's what it is, and connect it. I see that the engine has its own deal, so maybe this gets abandoned. I don't really know. I'm going to have to do some homework on that. This is all new to me. And then, as I mentioned, I got to do a ground from here to the chassis ground. I don't think I'm going to get as fancy with a stud over here. I can probably just get away with one of these holes is probably threaded, or will be, and I can tap it and put a bolt in it, and that'll be good. So that's where I'm at right now. I'll keep progressing, and I'll show you where I get next. The battery box has turned out pretty nice. You kind of can't see, but it's turned out pretty nice. Hey everyone, it's the next day. It's actually my anniversary. I'm out here in the shop. So I'm wiring away. I changed my plan, just a couple little things, a couple little details. For the most part, it's still the same. I'm still focused on under the hood wiring, and that's probably where I'm going to end this video and then start a new chapter on the interior wiring, which is a disaster. Once again, the car has proved to be the challenge here, the LS wiring harness, with the way I got it from the guy that set all this stuff up for me. It's been pretty straightforward. I'll show you guys what I've got going on here before I put all the loom on and everything, so you can get an idea of what's going on. Okay, so this is the factory mess. I still have to deal with all this stuff that's specific to the car. Right now I'm just focused on engine and wiring. So I've got, these are the 2 feeds. I figured out what this stuff is. Did a little phone a friend. So these 2 red wires here are the power to the fuse panel itself. This purple wire is the power that goes from the ignition switch to the solenoid for the starter. So, and then what I've done here is I have this gray wire is for my fuel pump, and this little pink guy is for the 12-volt trigger to my LS computer and fuse panel setup. I've ran the number 4 wire to the alternator. I've been told that this brown wire is can be used for a tack feed from factory. I think I don't use it now. I think I abandoned it, but I haven't confirmed that yet. I'm going to do a little more Google searching. This mess here with fusible links and crap, I decided, I left the fusible links in at first, and then I decided that, you know what, they're archaic and they need to go, and I will just fuse it at the battery terminal. So I'll show you what I've got going on there. So as I said, this is not loomed or dressed in final yet, but it's pretty close. So my 2 hot wires that come and feed to the fuse panel, the car's fuse panel, I have coming up and on this block here that goes on the battery terminal. I'm not sure what I think of that yet, but it's going to stay for now. My ground, I made my ground cable, as you can see. It's a 1/0 ground cable. Crimped it with that new tool and heat shrunk it. This is just the J-bolt. I bought J-bolts to go on my battery. So you can see I've got it grounded. I made my positive cable that goes down and goes to the starter. These guys here, these inline fuses, are 40 amp inline fuses. These go to my LS wiring harness. I've kind of got that bundled together, and I've got this nice little terminal block there. Now it does have a cover, a weather tight cover that goes on it. I don't see it in front of me, so I'll have to show you guys after. That just sort of clips on top. So what I've got is I've got 12 volt from the battery, this number 4 wire feeding this. This number 4 wire here goes to the alternator. These little guys on each side are the this number 8 wire, I believe, is going to my LS harness. And the gentleman who built the harness recommended that I put as close to the source as possible, 2 inline fuses on each run with 40 amps each. So I've done that. You can see it's all soldered and heat shrunk. This tape is just to hold it while before I put the loom on. So you can see there's those 2 number 8s that are coming back to the harness. This is my fuel pump wire, and this is that pink wire that just gives a 12 volt trigger to this fuse box here. My fans they start here and go around and come to there. I have the grounds for the fan done here. I just haven't put them on. I got to put them on that stud that I made. These wires here are pre-done in the LS harness for if I had air conditioning, which I don't have and I don't intend to run. So they're going to probably just get abandoned. I will figure out a creative way to leave some length in case I ever need them, and hide it underneath. So that's about it. I need to tidy this up a little bit and loom this up out of the way. The unfortunate part, as I mentioned in one of my other videos, is at some point I have to change this heater box because mine's all collapsed on the other side. So I think what will happen at that point is this shelf will get removed, which I've made it removable with 3 bolts. You disconnect everything from here and just kind of lay it all on top of the engine, and then that should come out. It's not going to be fun, but it'll only have to happen once. But right now my priority is to get this thing running before the snow flies, so that way I can get exhaust done. So that's kind of where I'm at with wiring here. I'll show you in the car real quick. Now this disaster. So let's talk pedals for a sec. This is the stock pedal. You can see it offsets to the left. It's cable driven. This is the pedal that I got with the engine. Offsets to the right. Mounting holes don't line up. This pedal is off an Impala, and it's kind of straight. And it actually, the holes line up. You can see the mounts similar. The offset is pretty good. I've had it in place, and this was like $60, and it's going to solve my problem. So I have to take this. This is the plug here for the pedal that came with the engine. I have to change this end and repin it to fit in this connector. Not a big deal. So this is my OBD reader deal. I've got to mount that guy. This gray wire is my fuel pump wire. That little pink guy down there, as I mentioned before, is the wire that goes to just like a 12 volt trigger from my fuse panel. A lot of this crap here is radio crap, which is going to get dealt with. This is defrost switch. I've got a new one of them. Not really sure what all this is, but it looks like it's a pile of shit. The car at one time had an alarm system, like an old school Viper alarm system that flashed the headlights and tail lights and all that stuff. So it's got solder joints everywhere that I have to correct before I get too carried away and try and fire this thing or anything. So a lot of this wiring that's here, I don't know what the hell it is, but I'm gonna have to figure it out. Speaker wire, I'm not worried about. I'll run all new speaker circuits, but I'm gonna run everything inside the car for the fuel pump and whatnot, and then I got to come back and make a connection back at the pump because it's an in-tank pump. If you watch some of my other videos, you'll see that I did that. Yeah, it's kind of a disaster, chaos, but that's okay. So the big thing to get going is I need to make sure that everything is safe. I need to make sure that there is no, like these open connections here and stuff are taken care of. And I don't just have random wires sitting here doing nothing. I also need to connect the remainder of my LS stuff. So this other little guy here goes to a brake pedal switch because apparently, for whatever reason, I guess those other wires do too. I was supplied with a brake pedal switch because I guess the computer reads that as well. And the one that I got has a resistor in it in case I decide later I'm going to run LED taillights. Yeah, so there's while I'm down here, here is the mount holes. Those holes there are the mount, those ones are the mount holes for the pedal. And you can see, if I take this pedal assembly, and actually you can see light through the holes, so it bolts right up and gives me a pretty good, if you can kind of tell there, it gives me a pretty good offset. So that's going to work really well. That was a good find. That was a score from one of the Facebook groups. I believe it's G-Body LS Swap Tech. A gentleman on there mentioned, I posted it up, a gentleman on there mentioned it, and it worked out great. It should work out great. I did buy the connector, as I mentioned. So I'll have to lose this connector, and I believe I can just pull this thing apart, lose this connector, and put the other connector on it. And he actually sent me a picture of the pin configuration because the orientation is a little different from one side to the other with the wiring. So that's going to be great. There's my factory fuse panel. I'm going to have to go through and have a good look at that. And when the floor was replaced in this car, a lot of this wiring just got cut and was just left all over the place. So that's not good. I've got these aftermarket gauges. I'm going to run them, oil pressure and temp gauge, and I'm going to make a better way because they were just screwed into the top of the dash. So I'm going to make a bracket for them to sit on, and they will run through that same grommet. Should show you that. The same grommet that I installed right here for for the fuel pump wire and that 12-volt trigger. This was the hole that was for the throttle cable. So I rounded that out, put a grommet in there because I'm going to be drive-by-wire for now. And so that'll be a good spot to pass through the oil pressure line and the sensor wire for the temperature engine coolant temperature gauge. So that's enough for now, I think. I'm going to put some loom on this, dress it in a little better, and tape up the loom and call it a day. I do have to go out for dinner tonight. It's already getting to be late afternoon now. I'm getting closer. Oh, hey, we should do the thing. So, what are we going to check off this list here? Let's have a look. Now, here we are. So, what can we get off this list real quick? So, we can get fan wiring because that'll be done before I go inside. We can get starter wiring. We can get engine wiring. The front harness, I'm going to call that the light harness. I don't want to strike that off just yet. What else do we have here? Yeah, we're a ways away from that stuff. Coolant and washer bottle. I got to go pick that up. Um, yeah, I don't get a win for a battery tray. Huh? Maybe I already did that. Okay. Okay. Well, thanks very much for watching. I appreciate it. I appreciate you guys sticking with me. I know I've been a couple of weeks since I've been at this. Things will pick up coming the winter because I don't have anything to do, and I got lots of work in the shop to do. So I'm gonna finish this Malibu, um, and then I've got some Corvair work to do on the Secan Coupe, and of course the 55, the two-door to four-door conversion on the 55. That's half done. Um, I started on that, got into it because I was excited, and I realized I've got a whole bunch of cars kicking around that aren't running, that need to run, that are a lot closer to running than that car. So I left it alone for a bit, and this one's been a long time coming. So I'll pick away at it over the winter with the interior and stuff, but it needs to go for exhaust and front end alignment and just a good check over before I get a pile of snow here and can't take it anywhere, can't trailer it anywhere. Um, Probably won't get tuned until the spring. Um, I've got a couple options there. I know a guy relatively locally that offered, Steve, that I've mentioned before. He offered to do it, but I also have a good friend of mine in the Corvair Club. His son has a performance tuning shop with a dyno, and I understand the services aren't cheap, but it'll be really good. So I'm probably going to do that. So thanks everyone for watching, and if you like what I'm doing here, check out the rest of the videos, subscribe, hit that notification bell thing, whatever that does, and get me in the comments, get me on Facebook, on Instagram. Um, Let me know what you think. That could cause trouble. Um, yeah. Oh, and thanks to some of the guys that have reached out to me lately with from the G Body guys. Um, I did manage to get some parts. I did manage to get the trim that goes around the window, and some stuff to work with there. Chris Silver gave me a bunch of stuff. He gave me a Grand National rear sway bar, and some control arms that I got to get sandblasted and stuff. Headlight buckets, that sort of thing. There's another gentleman I was talking to that has a heater box for me, and he's not that far away, and he's very reasonable on the price. So I'm going to be going to see him soon too. Um, yeah, stay positive, stay happy, and work on your junk.